Lesson 10, Fractions and Regions, and step up to Grade 3. We're on page 957. Let's do the solve and share.
Pat made a garden in the shape of a rectangle and divided it into 4 equal-sized parts. She planted flowers in 3 of the parts. Draw a picture of what Pat's garden might look like.
What are you asked to do here? Well, you need to draw a picture of what Pat's garden might look like. What do you know about each of the 4 parts of Pat's garden? Well, you know that they are the same size. Well, what is true about the same size parts of Pat's garden? They are all equal in size and they are all part of the same whole. And do you remember about fractions? What fraction of the garden is 1 part? 1/4. So you can pause the video and then you can work on drawing the garden. Okay? Okay, now let's compare pictures. I'm going to show you an example of what the garden could look like. Okay, this is Rodney's work. So here is Rodney's work. The orange part of his picture shows the 3 parts of Pat's garden with pictures. So this is a good example of it. Now this is also Susan's pictures, or Susan's work. The yellow parts of her picture shows where flowers are planted in Pat's garden. So it's divided into 4 equal parts. And the yellow parts are the picture, or the parts where there are flowers. Susan's garden picture, Pat's garden picture. Divided into 4 equal parts. The 3 parts represent where the pictures are. Did your picture look similar to Rodney's and Susan's? Okay, now we're going to learn more about how a fraction describes equal parts of a whole. So let's get ready to watch our video.
How can you show and name parts of a region? Think about this question during the lesson. Mr. Peters served part of a pan of enchilada casserole to a friend. What does each part of the whole pan of casserole represent? What part was served? What part is left?
All these parts look pretty tasty, that's for sure.
In this problem, what is the whole?
Okay, the whole is the whole pan of enchilada casserole.
The whole is the whole pan of enchilada casserole. Into how many equal parts did Mr. Peters cut the whole pan of casserole? What fraction is assigned to each part? How do you know?
Okay, so how many parts did Mr. Peters cut the whole pan of casserole? So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he cut them into 6 pieces. What fraction is assigned to each part? 1/6. That's what we would say. And how do we know? Because there are 6 equal parts. So it's 1/6 because there are 6 equal parts.
Mr. Peters cut the whole pan of casserole into 6 equal parts. The fraction 1/6 is assigned to each part because there are 6 equal parts. The whole casserole is divided into 6 equal parts. Each part is 1/6 of the whole. You can use fractions to represent more than one of the equal parts. 6 copies of 1/6 is 6/6. So the whole is 6/6. The unit fraction is 1/6. Which part of a fraction tells the number of copies of the unit fraction? Select your answer.
Okay, so the unit fraction is 1/6. Which part of a fraction tells the number of copies of the unit fraction? Number of copies. Is it the numerator or the denominator? What do you think? The number of copies of the unit fraction. Is it the numerator or the denominator? Denominator? Numerator? Yes, it's the numerator.
The numerator is the number of copies of the unit fraction. 2 copies of 1/6 is 2/6. 2/6 of the casserole was served. 4 copies of 1/6 is 4/6. 4/6 of the casserole is left.
Okay, so let's try it. It says select a fraction to see a portion of the enchilada casserole.
1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. Which part of the fractions are the same? Why? The denominators are the same because they show the total number of equal parts for each situation. Now you know how you can show and name parts of a region.
Okay, so let's practice. So let's go to our guided practice on page 959. It says in the problem at the top of 958, what fraction names all of the pieces in the casserole? So we have to go to page 958. What fraction names all the pieces in the casserole? So, what would that be? What do you think? So, you have to figure out how many pieces are there and how many are total. It would be what? 6/6. 6/6 also equals 1, but our fraction is 6/6. Motto with math. Mrs. Rao made a cake. What fraction of the whole cake does each piece represent? So now we have to count how many pieces there would be in this cake, even though there's pieces missing. So let's count. Let's start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this was cut into how many pieces? It was cut into 8 pieces. So each piece represents how many? 1/8. Okay? In the picture in item 2, how many 1/8 pieces were eaten? What fraction of the whole cake was eaten? So how many pieces were eaten? 2. Okay, now I'm going to move over there. How many pieces were eaten? So then we're going to do that as a fraction. So 2/8 were eaten. 2/8 were eaten. Or you know what, boys and girls, I might, so you could see what that looks like written. I'm going to do it with the pen. So you could see it would be written like this. 2/8, like that. That's what it looks like written instead of typed. 2/8. That's what it looks like. Now it says in 4 through 7, use the figure below. So we're going to be using this. Write the unit fraction that represents each part of the whole. So let's see. How many units is it divided into? 3. What's the unit fraction? Each unit refers to one of these. So that would be what? 1/3. That refers to one of the wholes. How many 1/3 parts are yellow? How many of these are yellow? We count them. 1, 1, 2. 2 are yellow. We have 2 yellow. What fraction of the whole is yellow? So we're going to count. We have 2 out of the 3 are yellow, so we call that 2/3. What fraction names all the parts in the whole? So we have 3 parts. Three-thirds. 3/3 also equals 1, okay? So now I'm going to let you do the independent practice on the other page on your own, and then you can check it on our Google Classroom in the Check My Math check that you have. Good luck, boys and girls. I know you're going to do great. You're going to do a great job.